Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening or good morning here in Malaysia. It's about 1:09 a.m. Fellow speakers and guests, viewers, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me in this webinar. I think it is a very crucial time where the UN Secretary General has warned that the world is entering into an age of chaos, a dangerous and unpredictable free-for-all with total impunity. And where even after ICJ's interim ruling and provisional measures were announced, Israel's military assaults escalated in Gaza, from Khan Yunis to Rafah, from airstrikes, sniper shots to imminent ground military invasion. And the UN SecGen said such an action would exponentially increase what is already a humanitarian nightmare with untold regional consequences. So, from the onset, I would like to state the obvious. That is, the current situation in Gaza may be the making of Nakba 2.0, where Palestinians are violently displaced, dispossessed, massacred, targeted, along with destruction of towns, hospitals, schools, mosques, churches, refugee camps, etc. If the scheme of things persists, then the expulsion of Palestinians may be far more than during the Nakba in 1948. That is about more than 1.5 million Palestinians in Rafah. And the situation is further aggravated by the fact that UNRWA funding has been suspended. UNRWA provides Palestinian refugees with humanitarian aids, education, health, and social services in, as mentioned earlier by Dan, West Bank, East Jerusalem, and Gaza, as well as in Jordan, Lebanon, and also Syria. And this, therefore, subsequently will result in catastrophic risk of starvation and famine amid an already humanitarian disaster, especially in Gaza. Probably you have heard about this. Felipe Lazzarini, the UNRWA chief, said, "It is immensely irresponsible to sanction an agency and an entire community it serves because of allegations of criminal acts against some individuals, especially at a time of war, displacement, and political crisis in the region." And a Palestinian-American writer posted this question as well. Why didn't the US apply the same standard and withdraw its military aid and funding of Israeli war crimes after the World Court's interim ruling determined the possibility of genocide by the Israeli state? How hypocritical is it that the Biden administration reacts to Israeli allegations by instantly cutting off funding to the UN aid agency, but does absolutely nothing at all after the ICJ orders Israel to abide by the Genocide Convention and stop killing Palestinians? I think one cannot stop but believe the scheme of things by Israel and its allies on this. Could revenge for the ICJ's interim ruling against Israel be the real motive behind the demonization of UNRWA and collective punishment of Palestinians by defunding an agency that employs nearly 33,000 employees, workers, and delivers critical aid to Palestinian refugees? This is a big question. And I recall in December, Israeli media reported the government was conspiring to push UNRWA out of the Gaza Strip after the war, including by trying to tie the agency's activities to Hamas. And Human Rights Watch accused Israel of using starvation as a weapon of war. So, ladies and gentlemen, in actual fact, the targeting of UNRWA and the international aid cuts which followed are aligned with Israel's long-running interests in removing the organization from the equation of Israel's military occupation and the issue of Palestinian refugees. So therefore, in accordance with ICJ's rulings for immediate and effective action to ensure the provision of humanitarian assistance to civilians in Gaza, in the light of catastrophic risk of starvation and famine of Palestinians, in the name of humanity, we must first urge countries who have suspended their funding to reconsider their decisions and reverse these funding suspensions, uphold their duties, and scale up humanitarian assistance for civilians, especially in Gaza. Do not be complicit in the use of starvation as a weapon of war. Secondly, the Arab world and states must step up to fill quickly the unconscionable gap inflicted by the Western countries by contributing funds to UNRWA from their multi-billion dollars of oil revenues. Thirdly, we must intensify international pressure to Israel and its allies based on the ICJ rulings to negotiate for a ceasefire by organizing people's rally and raise voice of the people to their leaders in the country. Number 4, we must demand the UN Security Council to pass a resolution on the enforcement of ICJ's ruling. The Security Council, although there are arguments about it, the Security Councils have the power to take punitive action against Israel. There were past examples of this, including economic or trade sanctions, armed embargoes, and travel bans. Number 5, we must pressure US, Western, and the other allies to stop providing military assistance or components to Israel, as such acts only tantamount to genocide and crimes against humanity, and therefore against ICJ's rulings. And we must take the pressure to Israel to comply with ICJ rulings by initiating case at the ICC. And lastly, we must also amplify the voice of conscience and humanity as the narrative. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I believe Palestinians in Gaza may have been displaced repeatedly. They have nowhere to go, but their great-grandfathers were born there. Their grandfathers were born there. Their fathers were born there. They were born there, and they will remain there. They remain resistant. They have a right to resist. And there will never be a Nakba 2.0 with whatever assistance we can give. And I believe in the end, our narrative must be clear. That is, in the case of the Palestinian-Israeli war, the core issue revolves around achieving political independence for Palestine and ending colonial status. It is a struggle for humanity, human rights, justice, freedom, and sovereignty. And therefore, it is crucial that we ensure that Rafah crossing will not be closed, that humanitarian assistance must be provided to the Palestinians, especially in Gaza, and that UNRWA would be able to continue on with their assistance. So that's it, basically. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thank you very much.